The existing population of Pakistan living in urban areas is around 74 million, which is roughly 35% of the total population. And according to a UN estimate, this is likely to increase to 50% by the year 2050. Now, this increased urbanization is creating and will further create problems of urban services, water supply, sewerage, solid waste management, environment, pollution, and so on. And secondly, the increased population will demand further urban services, which will put further pressure on the already overburdened urban infrastructure. The good news is that modern technology has the solutions to sort out these problems. But before going into that, let's first try to differentiate between a traditional city and a smart city. A traditional city, in physical terms broadly, has two main components. Let's call them two main layers: the infrastructure layer and the services layer. Now, the infrastructure layer has the roads, the water supply network, the sewerage network, the electricity network, and so on. And the services layer is the transport on the roads, the water in the network, the sewage in the sewerage network, the electricity in the electricity network, and so on. Now, this is what happens in a traditional city, but the data generated by these services is limited, is closed, and is not comparable, is not integrated, and so cannot be used across the city. In a smart city, this problem is sorted out by a third layer, which is called a digitalization layer. Now, there is a difference between digitalization and digitization, as most urban planners and GIS people will know. Digitization is converting the information or a document from analog to digital. For example, if you have a sketch or a diagram or something on a hard copy, you can scan it and then you can import it in a computer software like AutoCAD and digitize it. It's just like we do manual tracing. So similarly, to say in crude words, digitalization is on-screen tracing. Now, once that diagram or that sketch or that data has been digitized, it can be edited, deleted, added, developed. You can play around with it. Now, that is digitization. But digitalization is different. It has four broad components or steps. I'll explain this to you now. Digitization, on the other hand, is analyzing data which has been collected by internet-connected devices. It has four elements, that is data generation and storage, communication and network, Internet of Things, and finally data analytics. Let's first talk about data generation and storage. Data is being constantly generated from smartphones, cameras, sensors, GPS, etc. at ever lower cost, and also the storage capacity of these devices is increasing tremendously. It is clear that huge amount of data is being generated and stored. The data is the first element of digitization. The second element is telecommunication networks and includes wired as well as wireless infrastructure such as 4G and now 5G, Wi-Fi, internet and satellites, etc. So through these networks, the data which we have already talked about is transmitted. The data and the telecommunication network, when put together, is called Internet of Things, that is different devices connected to one another. Now IoT is the most essential technology of a smart city. It uses sensors which are able to capture the data from surroundings such as position, motion, temperature, sound, vibration, leaks, etc. All this data needs to be analyzed. But since the data is huge, it needs to be analyzed through artificial intelligence, which helps in intelligent analysis of all these huge amounts of data, which is also called the big data. The sum of all the above is called digitalization, that is data, its transmission, IoT and analytics. Let's look at a few examples of smart cities. To solve parking problems, the managers of smart city will not straight away suggest construction of new parking lots and more resources, but will monitor and analyze the data to reduce the traffic related problems and offer a solution including parking problems. Similarly, for leaking issues in water and sewage, our traditional cities lack information on leaking points. However, in smart cities, the leakage is instantly detected by sensor and the information is sent through the system. Now, in the context of smart city, let's take the case of smart urban transportation systems in slightly more detail. Because of rapid urbanization, transport becomes more congested and users have a poor travel experience, but it can be the users of cars or buses or bicycles. Now, between 15 to 25% of global carbon dioxide emissions actually come from urban transportation, and so there is a strong push to make these systems more efficient and smarter. As the transport system becomes smarter, people will like to use it, and the tendency towards ownership will decline. Smart transportation infrastructure is equipped with data gathering devices such as video cameras, speed cameras, sensors for traffic detection, etc. And thus we can better understand the behavior of urban transportation systems. This helps to make the transportation services more accessible and more responsive to the demand. Sooner or later, even in our country, the ICT, the information and communication technology, will impact transport to very limited extent. It is already impacting in the large cities. And when the mobility solutions become more accessible, the need and desire to have own vehicle will decline. In other words, there is going to be a shift from transportation to mobility and from car ownership to mobility usership. However, there is a need for integration among the various mobility modes. For example, integrating ticketing system or smart card provides different mobility solutions. It is accepted on all modes of transport, including buses, and metros, and suburban trains. Now, through such integration, users have access within a smartphone app to information about how long the trip will take, how much will it cost, how much carbon will it emit, and people are not just able to have the information but also book and pay for the chosen trip through the app, receive their tickets on their smartphone electronically as well as their device. Thus, there is going to be a shift from traditional transportation system to smart urban mobility system. This is just one of the numerous examples of a smart city. To sum up in a few words, a smart city is a platform that connects people, spaces, and things in the city. Thank you.